You are welcome to FLIPTV newspaper front page review with Elizabeth Akpati. The Guardian. Bad for business. Surge in unruly fan conduct. Match day violence plunge NPFL in crisis. NNPCL vows to revive refineries shop for $60 billion to expand capacities. You can't intimidate us, Ocean workers tell federal government over withheld Lagos government funds. 2027, I'm not leaving NNPP, but open to discussion, says Kwankwaso. And those stories are on page 4 and page 5 of The Guardian. FG approves lifetime salary for retiring senior officers on page 7. Tertiary institutions on edge as ASU, SAPBIMB, FG, Ford, I think strike fears on page 6. Nigerian facing malnutrition, 79% food insecure, says FG. 2027, INEC fires back at ADC. PDP demands probe on new voters record in Osun State. Kidnappers of Castina couple, daughter demand ransom, 600 million naira ransom on page 29 of The Guardian. And that's all for The Guardian. Nigerian News Direct. NEC approves new 2026-2030 medium-term national development plan. Projects accelerated economic growth, improve food security in 2026. As excess crude accounts shrinks to $535,823. How we increase production in OML 17 with 100% indigenous capacity. Hers Energy's CEO. Access Holdings name Innocent Ike as new GMD. Zamfara Kaduna topping kidnap cases in over a year. SBM reports. FG hikes fees for obtaining Nigerian passports. Why we chose to endorse Governor Adeleke for re-election. Osun NLC NULGE says. And that's all for the Nigerian News Direct. The Daily Times. Quas rises concerns over drug abuse among soldiers in conflict zones on page 9 of the Daily Times. Threat to life will not detail my commitment to oil sector reform, Ojulari says on page 9 also. Battle for mining site. Officer gunned down as police civil defense clash in Ebonyi on page 5. Voters registration meaningless without electoral judicial reform, Atiku says on page 11. Insecurity. G7 states move to curb rising cross-border criminal networks on page 6. ADC queries INEC over alleged inflated voters registration figure in Southwest on page 11 also. Nigerians to pay more for passports as NIS rises fees to 100,000 to 200,000 naira on page 2 of the Daily Times. And that's all for the Daily Times. Daily Trust. Universities head for strike, says on page 1. Why Barrow Port is still idle 6 years after commissioning, Rep panel says. Kwankwaso, ACF decree, Alaba Rago markets demolition. 420,000 Nigerians children at risk of malnutrition this year. FG hikes passports fees second time in a year. And that's all for the Daily Trust. The Blueprint. FG has no signed deal with ASU on 2009 agreement, Alausi says. Governor won't settle for deal not tenable or sustainable. You're wrong, University teachers reply minister. Late Bashir Chidi convinced me to join NIPR 30 years ago, Idris says on page 7. Governor Nasri approves or appoints 58-year-old Sanisu Semi new Emir of Zuru. Access Holdings appoints Innocent EK substantive GMD and CEO. Bafana coach announces final squad for Super Eagles cracker. NEC launches renewed hope plan to fast track $1 trillion economy. Tension in Niger as troops kill 50 bandits, criminal flees to Zungeru. Will intensify operations in Katsina, Niger, others Coas says. Dangote Group, Ethiopia signed agreement to build $2.5 billion fertilizer plants. Ex-Senate President Sarah Kingsmen celebrates first son, National Mosque Imam on page 7. And that's all for the blueprint. Daily Independent. NEC endorses practical roadmap towards Tinubu's $1 trillion economy. Urges vaccination boost as new polio variant threatens Northwest. Over 40% of industries have abandoned national grid survey. PVC. ADC asks INEC to explain ordinary registration in Southwest. Court dismisses motion to stop Rivers local government polls on page 6. FG ASU meeting to stop strike failed to hold on page 6 also. Mba revamps upgrades Ninja Gas after 30 years democracy on page 7. My job under threat for proposing revamp of refineries, Ojulari says. Sign deals for new 3 MMT fertilizer plants. Dangote elevates Ethiopia to number 2 rural producer in sub-Sahara. And that's all for the Daily Independent. Leadership Friday. FG ASU dispute lingers as minister denies past agreement. Alausa insists FG has no binding pact with union. Says Yale Ahmed led committee to renegotiate with ASU. FG union meeting fails to hold. Every trip is for the people's benefit, Tinubu says on page 11. NNPCL planting joint operations with private refineries to rescue refineries, Ojulari says. FG awards 17-year-old Nafisa 200,000 naira for clinching world title in English. ACF condemns demolition of Alabarago market in Lagos. Paramilitary agencies head to earn salaries for life. Cholera kills 8 in Zamfara. NGE flays killing of journalists in Gaza. And that's all for Leadership Friday. This Nigeria. NNPC refineries lose 500 million naira monthly, says Ojulari on page 4. GCEO seeks foreign expertise, says attacks, slack plots, wound thorough reforms. Wike tax G7 states on cross-border crimes on page 7. Nigerian battle triple burden of malnutrition, FG says on page 18. Mokwa flood, Niger shuts down IDP's camp over security concern on page 6. NEC endorses renewed hope economic plan to fast-track $1 trillion economy on page 5. And that's all for this Nigeria. That's all for FLIPTV newspaper front page review. My name is Elizabeth Akpati. See you next time.